This right here is the standard. Without rambling too much, let's watch the video one time through really quick. It's fairly short, and then I'll break it down and we'll talk about some stuff.
He's going through the grass. Eastbound again, parking lot, Maple Glen Drive.
Eastbound on Maple Glen Drive.
Northbound now.
Northbound. One bound. Now is belling.
Hey, we have to go in there. We went in 443. Please show your hands now! Drop the knife now! Drop the knife now! Please. Come to us. Police action shooting. No officers are injured. Suspects still. Start a medic for an adult male. Not awake, not breathing.
Drop it! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! 8443. On you.
So absolutely incredible job by these officers. This whole ordeal started when dispatch received multiple calls from multiple different people coming from a college, and they said some conflicting stuff, sort of, but basically the gist of it was this suspect had gone and crashed his truck into another car in the college parking lot, and then he attempted to unalive somebody. After the investigation kind of got some more info, they had determined it was premeditated and it was a domestic violence situation, but basically he was unsuccessful because his gun had not worked and somebody else had stepped in at the college and kind of fought the guy off. He then leaves in his truck, and one of the callers had given out the truck's description. So as he's leaving, the officers are arriving, and so they go to initiate a stop on him, and there is a pursuit that is initiated. The pursuit went on for a number of miles. It reached speeds of up to 100 miles an hour on the interstates, and eventually the suspect ended up driving back to, I would assume, it's either his apartment or not really too sure, but he definitely knows the person that's inside this apartment, crashes it into the building, and then he exits his truck, forces entry into the apartment, and then holds the woman in that apartment at knife point. So we now have a hostage situation. These two studs recognize what's going on pretty much immediately and enter the apartment themselves and handle business. Now, some things I want to touch on really quick that, a cop with a little bit more experience might have picked up on, but maybe if you're a newer cop or maybe you're just a civilian and you're watching this video and you want to kind of get some more context, you can just hear it in the first officer's voice, like during the pursuit and then after the shooting. Like, he is just unbelievably calm.
He's going through the grass. Eastbound again, parking lot, Maple Glen Drive. Police action shooting. No officers are injured. Suspects still. Start a medic for an adult male. Not awake, not breathing.
Once the pursuit comes to a conclusion, he observes the suspects, I'm guessing, breaking into the apartment, or that he saw that he had gone into the apartment. And so he recognizes, think of it from his point of view, right? He doesn't know who this guy is, where he lives. Like, he doesn't know the full, totality of the circumstances here. And so he sees this guy breaking into what is to him is just a random apartment. So he rushes towards that apartment, and initially he holds at the door, which some people might see that and be like, why didn't you just run in? But if you notice, like when he's going up to the door, there's no real sound cues coming from inside the apartment at first.
443. Police, show your hands now!
And so I'm 100% on board with this idea that like you don't need to enter a structure if you don't absolutely have to. And so when he initially approaches the door, there's no like driving force to go into that apartment. You'll notice like the second he hears the woman screaming, he shoots up the stairs.
Police, show your hands now!
Now, the second thing I wanted to touch on is the second officer. So the officer with the rifle. He's the first one to get out of his car. He exits and goes over his hood with the rifle and starts giving commands. And just in like the split second when the first officer drives in front of him, he like recognizes that he's like driving in front of him. And so he tries to dip his muzzle so he's not flagging his buddy, which is good.
Drop it! Get on the ground!
And then once he's able to recognize from the officer telling him like, hey, we gotta go, they rush the apartment together. But one thing I really liked that he did and just took that like extra like half a second to a second to do was he went and just put eyes inside that truck and made sure nobody else was in there waiting for them to pass. Yes, I know there was only ever reported to be one suspect involved in this incident, but it does not fully eliminate the threat that there could be a second person in that truck that just never got out. I think it's always a really good idea to go and at least clear that truck just really quickly and make sure there's nobody else there waiting for you with a gun who's going to shoot you in the back as you run past it. So guys, like I said, these officers did an absolutely amazing job. And quite frankly, this is like the standard of what you're expected to do and what you're expected to be as a cop. I have seen a lot of BWCs and I've seen it myself on the streets, arriving at scenes where there is actively something going on inside of an apartment that's very clearly like at a minimum like an assault. And people are just like waiting at the door, like casually knocking, asking them to come to the door. It's like no, it's time to go. We got to get in there and make sure nobody is about to get killed. Go ahead and drop it down in the comments what you think is like the determining factor or like a multitude of factors that officers can take into account in their training, their lifestyle, like how they do their job. Like what do you think makes an officer like this? Or also like what do you think makes an officer that doesn't take that initiative and go into the apartment and push the threat and that sort of stuff? I'd be really interested to talk to both of these officers and kind of just break down like what their viewpoint is on doing this job and kind of like if they do any training outside of work or maybe the department provides training. Because I think training has a part to play in it, but I've definitely seen officers firsthand that don't really do a lot of training outside of work, but they can still recognize and react to situations like this and just go to work when they need to go to work. With all that being said, guys, thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, drop a like, dislike, drop a dislike. Let me know in the comments what you think and stay tuned for the next one.